Let's talk about the Mitzberg's managerial rules. So, Mitzberg, this will help us to understand the various roles that a manager has to perform, a manager in the organization has to perform according to Henry Mintzberg, who is a 1960s MIT grad. Right, so Mitzberg has devised or identified three different components that three different roles that a manager has to perform, three different types of roles: interpersonal, informational, and decisional. These are the three different types that a manager has to perform. So let's get into interpersonal first. So in interpersonal we have the figurehead role, leader, and liaison role. So in the figurehead role, it's nothing but being a symbolic head of the activities that are being done. Let's say the principal of school is an organization. Principal is called to give off the token of appreciation. So that is symbolic. And the leadership role, it's that fact that a manager is responsible for motivating the employees and showing the employees a direction. And then we have liaison role, which basically means a manager has to maintain a network of outside contacts who provide favors and information. So it's basically networking. If I imagine myself as a CHR, or let's say VP HR of some organization, I'll have to have that contacts with other employees from other organization, the industry. I'll have to be well connected to the industry. So that is the liaison role. You'll have to be well connected within your industry and other functional roles as well. So that's about the interpersonal roles of a manager according to Mitzberg. Now let's get into the informational roles. We got monitoring role, disseminator role, and spokesperson role. In monitor role, we have in monitor role, it's basically about we as managers have to receive a wide variety of information. A wide variety of information that serves as nerve center of internal and external information of the organization. So we basically have to get that wide variety of information from outside the organization and institutions. And typically the managers do it by obtaining, like, being part of the communities, going through the magazines and all that stuff. And disseminator role is whatever the information that you have gathered. So whatever the information that you have gathered should be disseminated to your co-workers and to your subordinates. And then we have the spokesperson role, which basically is to transmit information to outsiders on organizational plans, policies, actions, and results. Serves as an expert on organizations industry. So you'll have to, the knowledge you have pooled from multitude of sources, you have disseminated, and you will also have to be the authority in that domain. Let's say you are a compensation and benefits expert in working with an organization. So not only do you have to gather information through various sources and disseminate it to employees in the organization, but you will also have to be the thought leader in the industry for that specific role, for that specific discipline or function that you are working in. Right, now let's just get to the final and most interesting role, type of managerial role, which is the decisional managerial role. We got entrepreneur, disturbance handler role, resource allocator role, and the negotiator role. So in the entrepreneurial role, we'll have to constantly search the environment for opportunities and initiate projects to bring about the change. So you basically have to be like an entrepreneur entrepreneur constantly looking out for opportunities and initiate projects to bring in change that will propel, that will push forward the organization to newer boundaries. And then you have another role of disturbance handler. So you basically have to look, you basically have to gauge and check what are the disturbances that you as a manager who is heading a team of 30 people, what are the or 10 people who then are heading again 10 each people, so that way you are heading 100 people overall. So what are the disturbances that you see within the workforce, that what are the disturbances that you see in the operations or the employees with the function that you are in? It would be great if you can see the disturbances that are occurring in other functions as well. So you will have to look out for the disturbances that are happening and take corrective action wherever possible, and try to influence people to take corrective action to combat that disturbance, right? And then you have the role of resource allocator, right? So makes or approves significant organizational decisions. And then you have negotiator. So it's basically you are responsible for representing the organization at major negotiations, right? If you have to close, let's say you are a HR person, let's say you're a VP HR trying to buy a compensation and or employee engagement SaaS. At that time you'll have to be a great negotiator and you'll have to be an advocate of company's interests. So that's about the 10 different roles that Henry Mintzberg of M.I.T proposed in the 1960s that a manager has. Going back, it's the interpersonal role, informational role, and the decisional role. Rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. See you in the next video.